Hey everyone, this is Elias from RevMatch Media, and today we're going to be taking a look at the E53 AMG. Now I know it's not the 63, and I know there's 2 cylinders missing, but let's see if this is just as good. Let's go ahead and get started. We get started in the front and we can see this looks nice. It is a little bit on the simpler side. With it being an AMG, I wish there were more kind of aggressive things. So this does have the Night Package, which does give you a lot of black elements to the front, including the black front splitter, these kind of guys on the side, and the black grille. Yeah, I wish there were something more to it, maybe a different front splitter, a little bit more aggressiveness to it, especially when we're dealing with an AMG package model. But we do have these headlights. They are nice. They're a little bit more on the rounder side kind of look to it. Like I said, I would like a little bit more sharp look to it. I feel like this design might age a little bit. Very similar to the GLB that, well, it wasn't my go-to really, but they are nice. They do illuminate the night really well, no issues with that, and it does have the adaptive turning, so obviously it can illuminate where you're going, so that has been nice. And we do have, again, the big nice black grille with the little AMG logo and the front facing camera to help with the 360-degree view that this has. The white though, the white has been really good. I really like the way that this white looks on the E-Class. I think it looks classy, even though it's not clean, because yeah, we did a road trip on this, and yeah, got some weather there, which it fared really well. But yeah, overall, it's an okay front end. I think if this were non-AMG, I would love this. But knowing that you're paying more for the AMG and you're paying more for the night or the blacked out elements, I wish there were a little bit more. Well, let's go ahead and see what we have under this hood. We get under the hood and we have the 3.0 liter inline-6 turbocharged with a mild hybrid system that is cranking out 429 horsepower and 389 pound-feet of torque. That is going through the AMG 9-speed auto and then to the 4MATIC Plus system. Now, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the lack of 2 cylinders in this. Yeah, and in the form of a V-shape. Mercedes has mentioned that it has supply chain issues, which is why for 2022, the AMG model for the E-Class will sport this 3-cylinder inline. So it's a bit of a letdown, I know, because I have driven the station wagon version of this with the V8, with the twin turbo or bi-turbo as they call it. That was insane. The power to it was insane. The noise was insane on that. It's a bit of a shame that we don't have this as an option for 2022. Yeah. The other kind of elephant in the room is that if this is successful in selling, it's kind of shooting itself in its own foot. Mercedes can then say, well, we don't need to really put V8s in the E-Class if we're still able to sell them in the inline-6 configuration. So it's a double-edged sword, because I want to tell you guys, get this, because this is incredible, but I don't want the V8 option to die. And I feel like if I do tell you, get this, and this is still highly successful, again, from a business standpoint, it makes no sense to implement a V8 under here. But with that being said, this is actually really good, which is what troubles me. It sounds really good. That exhaust pops, crackles, and snaps. Yeah, all in reverse. But it sounds really good. It sounds really mean, actually. And the transmission is a little bit on the delay when it comes to the manual shifts. When you put it in manual mode and you use the paddle shifters on the steering wheel. So yeah, that was kind of a bit of a letdown. Now, when we go to the other extreme of the comfort or because we don't have an eco mode, we just have a reduced mode that you would have to actually implement yourself in the modes. It is really good. It is really good on the highway. When you lift off the gas, it will go into a coast. It actually shows you a little sailboat on there. So it is really good at being fuel efficient. It is also great at being fuel efficient when you're coming to a stop. It will use that auto start stop right before you actually come to a complete stop. Unlike other cars where you have to be completely stopped and also engage the brake hold. Now with this, it's actually really good because of the mild hybrid system that this has. It's able to do that. Now with the performance on the mild hybrid, it's okay. I mean, I don't feel it as much. It's just a really good 6-cylinder with the turbo. It is a fairly big size turbo, or at least it looks like it there. But performance wise, this has been really good. And I hate to say that because of the V8. Well guys, let's go ahead and take a look at those wheels and tires. We get down to the wheel and tire package and we have possibly my favorite Mercedes wheel of all time. We do have a 19-inch split 5-spoke wheel, and they are wrapped in the 245/40 Continental tire. The reason they're my favorite is because of the design. They do remind me of the stovetop burner. We had this with one of the smaller SUVs, forgot the other one that had them, but I do love the way that this looks. It's a bold wheel as well. It's a very unique wheel. Aside, yes, I know it's a 5-spoke, but having that outer ring is just a really nice touch. Now, performance-wise, these guys are a little bit noisier. So they did transfer a little bit of noise into the cabin, even though this is equipped with that like special glass that technically is supposed to make things quieter, it was still fairly loud, even in the comfort level. We did feel some bumps here and there. Now, this does have a good amount of grip though. So even with the noise, I would fairly trade that for the amount of grip that it had. And again, if it felt like it was gonna go loose a little bit, the 4MATIC system did transfer the power correctly to the wheel that had more grip. Another thing with this is this does have air suspension, but it's only like a 2 setting. It's either low or normal and then higher. So right now it is in the normal. So it is fairly low actually, especially for a factory car. Typically you get a little bit more height, but you do have that option in case the roads you're on aren't the best. You can lift this up a bit. But overall, if you can kind of look past the road noise on slower speeds as well. It only really happened on slower speeds. Yeah, this package was really good. Well, let's go ahead and see what we have on the side. We get to the side and we can see this is a nice looking sedan. The proportions are really good. The shape of it's classic E-Class. I definitely think this is going to be a classic in the future. It just looks so nice and so sleek. So we get started in the front and we can see again some of those nice lines on the hood. We have those beautiful 19-inch wheels, which I love so much. And this is where we have that indication of a little bit of a letdown, so to speak. What I mean by that is we have a badge that just says Turbo 4MATIC Plus. It doesn't say bi-turbo, meaning 2 turbos, meaning we have a V configuration under the hood. Yeah, so with this again only being the inline 6, we do only have a turbo. It almost looks weird too. It almost looks out of place as far as the turbo wording. Yeah, it's kind of a shame, but I mean, it is what it is. It's still a great performing 6-cylinder. We do have the black mirrors on this, with it being the AMG Night Package, as well as around the windows, which is a really nice touch. My thing, I wish the handles themselves were black, because that would definitely complete the look to this. Also with the windows, we do have that special option where it's like acoustically better to remove some of the outside noise, and it has a heat membrane as well. You know, basically keep the car cooler. But I mean, as far as road noise, like I mentioned, with those tires, it's gonna come in through a different way. But otherwise, I do love the shape of this. Now, I do have the key fob in my hand, so let's see how we can get into the Mercedes. Yeah, so I just put my hand there and I can pull, and I am good to go. Really easy. I can go ahead and close, and there is a little dimple in there. I can go ahead and get that locked. So it is locked now. Let me see if I can do that for the back. And yes, I can. So yeah, this is a family car. So definitely you can use it, you know, get your kids in there without having to kind of reach for the front, reach for the key fob or anything. You can get that going. And you can also lock it from the back as well. So yes, Mercedes, you guys got it right. This is the way a family car should react with the keyless entry. Now, let's go ahead and see what we have in the back. We get to the back and we can see we have a beautiful design to this. One of my favorite things is definitely these taillights, with it having that transparent on the bottom, and we can still see even some transparency on here, some of the little LED elements in this. So really nice design on this. We do have a little spoiler, such a small thing, but it makes such a huge difference in the design line. Personally though, I would probably have gone with a black color on this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you can change the color or have a different one. And with this being the black or night package, this definitely needed to be black. But yeah, it does look really good. We have the AMG badging. We do have the E53, yes, not an E53 badge on there. But overall, this looks really great. My favorite, with it being the night package, the exhaust tips, with those being in the black color. Yeah, there's something about titanium is cool. Don't like the price, but I feel like this definitely is the better option to go with as far as an exhaust tip. It just looks really good. And again, with that rear kind of like diffuser design down here, it looks really good. Now, I have my key fob, and I'm gonna go ahead and pop the trunk, and there's a good amount of space in here. You definitely can fit a large amount of groceries, bags, really a good amount of space. I mean, that's what this is made for, really. Long road trips, you definitely want to take this out on. But yeah, it's been really good. And with it being motorized, you can push the key fob again, because it's going to do open and close as well. My only kind of disappointment is, yeah, there's no remote start on this. You do have to get their Mercedes ME or Me subscription service in order to get that. Yeah, my biggest thing with Mercedes, just put it on the key fob. That's all I want. Well, let's go ahead and hop in and go for a ride. We get inside of the E-Class, and it's Mercedes. It's beautiful Mercedes. We actually start with the door. The door, we can see it has leather on it. It has the red stitching on it. It has the carbon fiber trim. My favorite, as always, with Mercedes is the seat adjustments being on the door. It makes so much sense to have it there, so that you are able to, you know, not have to fumble here on the side and try to adjust your seat. So I do love that. And then we have the beautiful looking speaker system. It just looks so nice. We get to the seats, and they're not big boy friendly. They are a little bit on the snug side. With this one, they are optioned with the heated seat. There is a cooled option, which honestly, I think that is definitely the way to go. Heated and cooled. So that, I believe, would change the style of this. They were a little bit uncomfortable, and you just kind of have to squeeze it in there, even with the seat kinetics. So if you're not familiar with what that is, the seat kinetics is basically, it slightly adjusts the position of your seat to kind of keep you alert. It's basically what you would technically be doing, just to kind of find that comfortable spot. I do love it. It does keep you alert, especially on that long road trip that I did. My only kind of downside that I don't like is that even at the long setting, it does turn off after some time. So I wish it had that option to just permanently stay on, so that it can, you know, you can enjoy the movement during the whole time. And again, it's not much, it's just slight tweaking of the movement of the seat based on kind of like your weight distribution. But I do love that. That's one of my favorite things. Yeah, it is missing the cooled option. I can see the blank here, which is kind of the big thing of like, and I did kind of need it because we did have some warmer temperatures, which would have been nice to have my back being cooled. And I have been in other Mercedes that have that option, and it's worked fairly well. We get over to the steering wheel, and this steering wheel is a lot to take in. Well, we'll start from the actual wheel itself. It feels nice. So this is the leather optioned one. There is an Alcantara one. I don't know if I would like that one just because of maintenance, and I do really love the dimpled leather in this. This feels really good. You can really grip this wheel when you're wanting to, you know, carve some roads out. But yeah, this thing is really good. I love the feel of it. I love the shape of it, and the actual turning sensation, you know, the actual wheel feel is really good. Now, let's get to the 1,000,001 buttons this thing has. So we take a look on the front, and on the left side we have so each side has kind of like these bars that connect out to the outer steering wheel from the center, and there's a lot to this, and there's a lot that I miss. So with the previous steering wheels, you had kind of like this like BlackBerry little like dimple on here that actually I feel like works a lot better than this. This is such a tiny like indented joystick. It's not an indented joystick, it's like a little indented trackpad, but I don't like it because it's super sensitive for the wrong position that you're wanting to go. So sometimes I would try to make an up movement and it would do a left movement and so on. So I'm not a big fan of this. Yeah, I hate to say it. The other thing I really dislike is I lost my next track button on the right. So I no longer have a next track. I do have to do it here on the little trackpad at the bottom that we have. So yeah, it's a shame because I would like to keep my hand on the steering wheel and make that adjustment. But I do have the option where I do have to switch over, you know, but if I had my menu option completely elsewhere, I don't have a fixed button for that. I do have the volume, and I did like the other volume more because it was exactly how I have it down here near the trackpad. So that was a little bit easier to maneuver. And yeah, I do have the paddles in the back. So for the transmission, we'll get to that in the performance part of the review. But yeah, they're back here ergonomically. They're nicely placed. They're good to get to. With this being an AMG, we do have the option of changing the different modes down here on the right and on the left. This was really good. I liked this, that if you push the actual you know, upper half or bottom right half, it gave you different modes or different parameters to change, which made it great. For me, I had the drive selection, so I can make it full manual, which like I said, we'll get into that. And then in the other one, I can change, you know, I can set the camera. I have a hard button for the camera. Yeah, I can program it down here, which was really good. I did love that. So yeah, that did kind of make up for the fact that I didn't like the other interface of the steering wheel. We get over to the gauge cluster, and you know, we have Mercedes gauge cluster. This looks nice, extremely customizable. I can get in here and really change, you know, all the 3 zones that I have for, you know, depending on what I'm doing. I do love that. I've basically kept it in this color as well. I do love this mode, and you know, my tire pressure in the middle. I do love the fact that it does have the temperature as well, which is really cool, especially if you take this guy out on the track. You can keep an eye on parameters like that. And then on the right side, when we were on the road trip, I did have it on the consumption, so to see how many miles per gallon I was getting. But other than that, I was basically stuck on the boost or the performance side of things. Now we come over to the infotainment system, and we have a big screen, and this is a really nice screen. We do have Apple CarPlay on there. It is wired Apple CarPlay. I could not find how to do wireless Apple CarPlay, so yeah, that was kind of a letdown there. So definitely need wireless Apple CarPlay, especially when we'll get to the little cable situation. But yeah, I mean, you have all these different options. Like if you're with this being the AMG and we have the performance side of things, you can see how much of the accelerator I'm putting, you know, if I brake, how much of the brake I'm using, you know, how many G's, like a bunch of different things that you have available. And then again, we have like that engine performance that we can see there. So it's really nice. I do love this interface. I do love the menu system this has. I've already learned how to navigate through it for Mercedes after having about 5 different Mercedes. But yeah, once you get used to it, it's not super confusing. There's just a lot to it. Then we come down to the AC controls. Very simple, very straightforward. Nothing really confusing. It was easy to use. The buttons feel nice. They look nice as well, along with the air vents themselves. We come down here, and this is where I'm a little, I don't like this. So with this system, what I'm talking about is the kind of charging area. So this does have a wireless charger, but again, like I said, it doesn't have wireless Apple CarPlay. So yeah, that's kind of a letdown with this. But we do have a nice area to put your phone there. It does kind of sneak in there and it stays in there. But I am needing to use a cable to interface with Apple CarPlay. So thankfully, this time we do have the USB-C to USB-A adapter. So I didn't have to go running for another cable or looking through my boxes of cables for a USB-C to Lightning cable for my iPhone. So yeah, that's nice. The other thing I don't like is the cup holders. The cup holders are here, and because of this little cover, it makes it very difficult to kind of get things in and out of. Especially if you decide to go with a large cup, it's definitely going to make it difficult to get that cup in and out of there. So yeah, that was kind of a letdown. And I know I'm going to hear it, you shouldn't be drinking inside of your Mercedes. But what if you went to go grab a drink so that you could eat at home? Yeah, we have that. Then we come down here to what I call the command center. So we do have the trackpad, which is really good. It's super responsive. I like the way that it feels. I like the way that it responds. I like the hard clicking. Just everything about it is really good. Even the next track. So you do have the option to go to the next track by just pressing there and swiping over. So it is a nice touch to have. No pun intended. Then we come over to the left side and we have your dynamic button. So you are able to change the modes. Again, the manual transmission, the suspension, and traction control. I really haven't needed to use those because I have them right here on my steering wheel, which is really good. But if you don't opt for this specific wheel, you do have them available down there, which is a nice touch to have. We come over to the right side and we have my volume button that I love so much and miss dearly. It's a little like rotary knob. It's a little like wheel, really. I say it looks like a cheese grater, so to speak. But yeah, I do love the way that this feels, and I've been honestly using this about 75% of the time to change my volume. Then we have, speaking of volume, we have the loud button. We have the exhaust button that we can open up the exhaust valves to really change the characteristics of how this inline six sounds. And then we have just some other buttons, you know, the auto off, which has been really good. Auto start stop, it's been really good because this has been great with gas mileage when you are coasting the car. So right now I lifted my foot off of it and it actually turned off, which is great. But again, you still have sensation in the wheel, so that mild hybrid works. We'll get into that a little bit later. We get to the back, and the back is fairly comfortable. There's a good amount of space back there. We do have the privacy screens, manual on the sides, automatic or motorized in the back. It took me a while though to find where that is. It was a little bit on the difficult side. So literally, I have to go to the main menu and I'll go ahead and go to settings, and then in quick access, it's right there. So it shouldn't have to be that way. It should technically be right where you have your windows up and down. It should be an extra little button there. Then we get to the trunk area, and we have a good amount of trunk space. Now let's talk performance. We're dealing with a 3.0 liter inline six with a turbocharger and a mild hybrid system. It is cranking out 429 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque. It is going through the 9-speed automatic and then through the 4MATIC system, or the 4MATIC Plus system that this has. Now, a couple of things. Yeah, like we discussed, no more V8s, at least for 2022. Supply, Mercedes has mentioned that it's due to supply issues. So we are losing a couple of cylinders, but we still get a good amount of performance. So I'll go ahead and switch it over to Sport Plus, and this thing sounds really, really good. My neighbor heard my downshifts coming into my neighborhood. It is really nice sounding. Yes, I know we lost 2 extra cylinders, and yeah, I understand, but obviously with Mercedes mentioning supply issues, definitely, you know, they're having to go with the inline six. But I can tell you, this thing sounds really nice. The downshifts, yeah. And it still pulls a good amount. I was surprised at how good this felt. And it snaps, it crackles, and it definitely pops. It sounds incredible. And the feeling of the suspension is really good, especially in sport mode. I've had to, it's just so much fun. Now, one thing I am a little about is the transmission. So there is a slight delay when you are in the full manual mode and you're having to control the shifts yourselves. It will hold the gear. You have to use the heads-up display. So this does have a heads-up display, and you're not going to go with your RPMs. Yes, you're actually going to go with the shift light. The shift light is what you need to use in order to know when to shift, because this is going to show the shift light faster at the red or hey, shift, because when you shift, slight delay, you'll hit the red line and then it shifts, or you'll get right near the red line and then it shifts. So definitely you want to go with whatever the shift light says. I know it's a big, like, what is going on? It should shift, or you should be shifting a little bit faster, or should respond a lot faster, but it unfortunately doesn't. Now, that 4MATIC system, the 4MATIC Plus, has been great to get the power down. Even when I ventured to take the traction control off, it was still, you know, distributing the power of where it needed to go. The brakes have been really good. The feel of the car has been really good with this. I have fallen in love with this. I love E-Class, and I think I've driven all of them. Sedan, coupe, I've driven wagon. I need a convertible. I need a convertible for my hair to go there. So that's probably the only one that I would need. But yeah, this one, I don't know if it's been my favorite, because I do love wagons. And I can tell you that I have driven an E53 wagon. That is the epitome. That is the cream of the crop for E-Class, for me at least. I did love that. That was insane with the sounds, the feel. It was so good. Yeah, I think that would be my choice to go. Now, do I have that amount of money? I do not at all. But if I did, definitely would be going with wagon. But overall, this has been a great performer. On fuel, it was on that road trip was really good. The the management of the hybrid system, even though it's super tiny, it was a good amount to just kind of get the E-Class going. Well guys, I've had a blast in this, and remember, find the right gear. See ya.